The Secrets of TV is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com. You're listening to The Secrets of Television. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and we take a closer look at the stories behind the stories, exploring the themes, characters, and hidden meanings in the shows everyone's watching and the classics worth remembering. And this time we're discussing Monarch Season 2, the episode Furusato. Joining me today is Jeff Haecker. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Dom.
Folks, be sure to follow The Secrets of Television in Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify, and TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or you can listen to us at the StarQuest YouTube channel at youtube.com/StarQuest Media, where, as always, you should like, comment, subscribe, and do any of the other things that let you get told about the episodes when YouTube doesn't send it to you. All right, let's quickly get into a recap of what happens in this episode. Big things happen, and then we'll get to our discussion. So the episode opens in Tokyo, 1990, with Hiroshi calling a young Kate back in San Francisco from a hospital waiting room, singing her the Japanese lullaby Furusato to help her fall asleep. The flashback reveals Hiroshi is there because Kentaro is being born, a neat encapsulation of the divided family life that haunts him in the present. In the present, Hiroshi is reeling from learning that his father Bill left after discovering Keiko's letter to Lee, a betrayal that upends his understanding of his own childhood. Now, Apex, led by Brenda, arrives at Santa Soledad ahead of everyone else, accompanied by May, and sets up a plan to fire a neural control implant into Titan X via a drone. What could possibly go wrong? The Randa group sneaks through the Apex camp, discovers Monarch's abandoned Outpost 27, and finds a childhood drawing left behind by Hiroshi, left behind decades earlier by Bill. Tim, aboard Outpost 18, refuses Apex's misdirection and confirms that Titan X is heading directly for Santa Soledad. And so Titan X arrives at the island while the Scarabs, once again, burst from the ground like cicadas on a 15-year cycle, I guess, and stampede toward the shore. Lee is injured in the Scarab stampede and fails to sabotage the Apex drone before it fires the neural implant into Titan X. The implant causes Titan X immense pain that Kate feels, too, through their mysterious link, and fails to control the creature, which destroys Apex's camp, while the Scarabs sever the tentacle holding the device. Hiroshi, mortally wounded while trying to reach Kate, dies in her arms, and Keiko's, as the three of them sing Furusato together one last time. All the feels. So, Jeff, what'd you think of this episode?
Yeah, it was a very good episode. It's episode 5, so we're halfway through the season, and yeah, they really wanted to raise the stakes, and they did by Hiroshi's death. So that's very sad that I think we see him in another episode, not this, but like in the past, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's an episode at least where we see him.
I think so.
So we don't lose the character completely in the show, but chronologically we do. So that's very sad. But it had some good action. We get to see, because I think the episode before, if I'm remembering, didn't have a lot of, like, it's been a little bit slow and Titan action. So I guess we had the monster breakout, but not like massive Titans like we did this time. So kind of getting a lot of stuff with Lee trying to talk some give Hiroshi some wisdom, and also trying to, of course, Keiko trying to explain herself, and still that mysterious connection between Kate and the Titan that I still have questions about, even after I've seen the entire season, but I still have questions on that. So it was a great episode.
Yeah, the question of is it a loose end or is it on purpose? That's the real question. I hope that they're laying groundwork for a future thread that they're going to pull.
Yeah, I think so. In my speculation on that, I kind of wonder if it has something to do if Kate and Keiko's ancestors were descendants of the Hollow Earth tribe or something that had kind of a Titan connection that they they made it out of Hollow Earth and, off of Skull Island, I guess, into the real world. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. Mm-hmm. I don't really have any proof for that, or there's some other kind of descendants from a Titan worshipping group from eons past. So
right,
yeah, it's still very open as to what all that entails.
And there's a group of women who have connections to the Titans that we're going to encounter later in the season, back in Japan, the Keiko and
oh right, yeah.
And I wonder if there's also a connection there as well, possibly.
Yeah,
we'll have to see. It was pretty, dramatic. Like if someone had to die, and you think of all the characters that they could kill off at this point, the only other one I think that they could get away with is Kentaro. Like he's the only other one who's not really like you can't kill off Keiko, you can't kill off Lee, you can't kill off Kate. Like those are, maybe you could have killed off May, and you could, but she's kind of outside the circle, so it wouldn't have the same stakes. But Hiroshi is right in the heart of this group. He's like literally in the heart, emotionally, but also in a character sense in the heart of the group. And so it is a huge loss to have this happen. And it's there's some courage in the showrunners to take this step at this point. You're right. Like they really raise the stakes by, hey, big characters can die, and there's no plot armor for everyone. So I really am glad that they, I liked Hiroshi, but I'm glad that they were willing to take those steps at this point. It's interesting. I still, every time they cover the whole like his second family thing, I get, I had to, it kind of, I don't know, it gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Like, dude, like you're standing in a waiting room while your mistress is giving birth to your illegitimate son and talking on the phone to your daughter and singing her a lullaby. Like the cognitive dissonance in that moment just is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to take it. Like, and did Kentaro's mom, like, I'm not sure if she knew. I don't remember back in season 1. Did she know about the other family?
I don't think so. Because they find the family. It's Kate going to Japan because her father, there's some belongings of his that belong to this room in Japan, or this apartment. Right. And she goes to unlock the door, and then you meet Kentaro and his mom. Right. And so I don't think she knew. I don't think either family knew about each other. Because then later, I think it was in season 1. Yeah, it was in season 1 where Kentaro's mom kind of reunites with Hiroshi for a minute and kind of basically throws him out for his duplicitous ways. Right. So, because it's not really her fault of what happened, because Hiroshi lied and kept things from her. So yeah, she's innocent in that regard. But yeah, I think she throws him out. So yeah, I don't think she knew about Kate or Kate's mom.
I guess technically Kentaro's not illegitimate in the sense of, I think he married both mothers. Yeah. Like he's a bigamist. Very strange. I could never understand that. So he wants to. He names Kentaro after his biological father, not after Bill Randa, which is interesting. Because Amiko, that's Kentaro's mom, she wanted to name him after Bill. She wanted to call him William, but he's like no. And I think they're kind of laying out the breadcrumbs of his continued,
resentment, grudge. Grudge.
Yeah, the pain that he's carrying about being abandoned by Bill Randa, and that would be part of it. So, it's interesting to see that there, and she interprets his reluctance as, I know you didn't want to get tied down necessarily, but it's for the, this is our son and we're starting a family. And I think his reluctance is, oh, this is complicating. You think? So yeah, I don't think he intended for her to be, to start a like a whole nother set of like children elsewhere. So that was it's well written and well acted. I have to give them credit for that, because it is a complicated emotional minefield to write, but they do a decent job of it. I mean, all the implications come across in the story, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, because I think it's this season that we see where he meets her for the first time, and it's in I believe it's, or it could have been, maybe it was last season, where it's when Shaw is back from Axis Mundi and is older, and isn't she the nurse or one of the nurses at the hospital or something?
Yes, she's a nurse at the hospital. Yeah. So I mean, it kind of makes sense if he's dealing with a lot of stuff of seeing, oh, this is my Uncle Lee, and his dad has been dead or missing for a long time, and so she's. It's almost like, I don't know if it's meant to be this, but it's almost like Florence Nightingale type of thing where, she's kind of the nurturing person there for him in that moment. And, he's far away and he's in Japan, or where I think that was in Japan, that Monarch facility. Yeah. Far from San Francisco. And so she finds kind of comfort in there. But, as he says, he fell in love with her while also being in love with Kate's mom. Yep. Said that before. So. It's interesting to me. It's sort of symbolic of how Hiroshi is torn between two cultures. He's torn between being Japanese and being American. He's born in Japan, has an American dad, a Japanese mom, lives in America, has an American accent, and then is sent back to Japan, gets a Japanese accent, and becomes more Japanese. And this duality, this being torn between two cultures, expresses itself in having an American family and a Japanese family, and he's sort of both and neither at once. And I think that's that's ultimately what is the puzzle of Hiroshi Randa, is that he's American and Japanese and neither, and he's never really had a place to settle as his identity. And maybe that's one of the things. He's like trying to be an American husband and father and a Japanese husband and father, because neither one felt complete. I'm kind of reading into it a little bit, but you can kind of pick up on that psychology of it a little bit in what we've seen of the characters, life from being a child to adulthood.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I think that definitely probably plays something into it of he grew up in America as a young kid, and yeah, was in, and like you said, full on American culture, and that, we don't know when he met Kate's mom. I can't remember her name offhand, but yeah, so he I guess he left Japan. He would have been in Japan growing up as a teenager, young adult, went back to the U.S. at some point, met Kate's mom, fell in love, got married, had Kate. And then when he was back in Japan for Lee, it was kind of, it's kind of that tug and that push and pull of culture that kind of pulled him back to his roots that he, had kind of grown up not really being a part of those roots when he was with his mom and Billy in the U.S.
Right. And seeing, Lee come back after, like, it's been 20 years since his mom's been gone for more than 20 years. Lee's been gone for 20 years. And, Bill Randa disappeared. He sent him back to live with his grandparents, for 20 years before, a couple decades. And now Lee's back. That just the shock of that. And maybe his mom could be back. And maybe Bill could, like, the shock and the uncertainty and the who, that who am I question, the identity question that he would have encountered. And that's when he encounters Amiko, and he's far from home, far from his wife, and she kind of provides an anchor at that time. I'm just kind of imagining, it's a little bit of headcanoning, but it's implied in the character. Anyway, it's fascinating. And, Hiroshi is a very interesting, complicated character. Probably I'd say almost the most complicated character in the cast. Keiko is pretty straightforward. Lee is Lee. Kate has her issues, but Hiroshi is he's got a lot of facets, and it's kind of fascinating to see the different sides that he goes through here, and the elements of his personality. Because once he finds out, back in the present day, he's found out about the letter. We kind of pick up from that moment, and he thinks that Keiko's betrayal is what drove Bill away and stripped him of his father and his American identity. And man, he drops a bomb on her. He does, "My condolences on your great loss." That one went down sideways. That was a hard one. I can imagine how that, because for her, that loss is recent. That's fresh. Like
like a few months ago.
Yeah. She's been gone 2 months
it was like 20 days or 30 days or something. And when she was in Axis Mundi. Yeah. And think about too, Hiroshi, it's only for him, or for everyone who was in Axis Mundi at the end of last season, which is Shaw, Kate, and
May. Yeah.
It's only been a week or two, maybe not even.
Yeah.
And to go but Hiroshi's been missing Kate for 2 years and trying to get them back for 2 years. So it's we have that complexity with Kate, especially of losing her dad that she just reunited with fairly recently.
Right.
Compared to, Kentaro, who got those 2 years with him, but he tells Kate, you didn't see your dad for 2 years. He could barely sleep because he was trying to get you back that whole time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Kentaro, Hiroshi, again, losing Kate into Axis Mundi, like he had lost his mom, like he had lost Lee, and having to deal with getting Kate back, and the amount of time that could pass, before you could see her again, I'm sure that was weight on him. That scene back at the motel when he, drops the bomb on Keiko for betraying Bill, he storms out past Kate and Kentaro, and I'm thinking to myself as he does it, hypocrite much? There's the evidence of your hypocrisy right there. You just walked by them. The two kids who didn't know about each other. It is. It's an interesting character. Let's just put it that way. And then Lee later on, as at the airfield waiting for their ride to Santa Soledad, he kind of confronts Hiroshi. He says, "Look, I can't, obviously I can't lecture you on what's going on here, right?" Because Lee knows, dude, I know, I'm the problem.
He was part
here.
of it.
Yeah, but he says, what good does it do you to live a life so fixated on wanting to change the past that he can't allow himself to create a better future? And really, that's what Hiroshi's life has been, right? He's been, ever since he was a little boy, he's been trying to fix all the stuff that had happened in the past. His mom disappearing, Lee disappearing, Bill disappearing, Kate disappearing, all these things he spent his life on. And he's so angry, where Lee says, "Look, stop focusing on the past, focus on the future. You've got your 2 kids, you've got, your 2 wives, but you've got your mom back. Focus on that." And I don't think Hiroshi ever fully reconciles to that, but he does. It looks like there's at least a moment of mild reconciliation between him and Keiko once they get to Santa Soledad and Outpost 27.
Yeah, because he also learns that Billy didn't hate him,
right?
And as we come to learn later in the season, I won't really spoil it, but there's a reason that Billy, he didn't leave only because of the letter. There were other reasons too that he was he still
thought he could get Keiko back,
right? And so he didn't just leave. He was trying to he was trying to save Keiko, and I think so. Hiroshi's kind of learning that Billy did love him, even if he didn't even if he didn't show it the best when he running off and shipping him back to Japan.
Right.
You could have said, "Hey, I think," and I guess you don't want to give the kid false hope, but he could have done, could have kept in touch better, or
send them letters, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey son, I'm on a boat. I'm at Skull Island where everything wants to eat me. And then we get this scene in 2014 where Hiroshi is heading to the apartment in Japan where Amiko and Kentaro are living. And he's like carrying flowers. He hasn't been there in a while. He's just about at the door when he gets a call from Tim in the basement back in DC. We found your father's things. We've got evidence of him. Come back now. And it's like, come back tomorrow. Like, at least give the guy 24 hours. Like, he's going to have to fly all the way from Tokyo anyway. It's not like he's going to be, come right down to the office. But they had to make it a dramatic decision. Yeah. And the decision he makes is the one that Billy made, which is, leave his son for good reason and walk away without an explanation. It's kind of full circle there. He does to Kentaro what Billy did to him.
Yeah. And it's also, I think I said this before that, if you're dealing with Titans, if that's your job as Titan researcher or working for Monarch, like it's going to be hard to go to a normal 8 to 5 office job after that. Like yeah. It's hard to leave that kind of life because it's just so intense. And so you're like doing something that very few people do and deal with. And I think that's part of it too, is just he has that obsession that is born, I think, from losing his mom and from what Billy, from what his adoptive father did and what his Uncle Lee did. All the adult figures in his life up until he got shipped to Japan were obsessed with Titans and worked for this organization. And so I think it's part of it is he's wanting to make his own place, but he's still kind of held by that. It's the show is the legacy of monsters, but it's the legacy of, the characters too, of the Randa's family, all the way from Keiko and Billy now to Kate and Kentaro.
There's a generational trauma that keeps getting passed down. It's interesting, even before Keiko disappeared and before Billy left and Lee disappeared, they were leaving him behind. I mean, they had left him behind when they went to Santa Soledad. They kept leaving him behind, and all the times they were going on these trips, they were absentee parents.
Yeah. I mean, but you can't bring the kids to those missions. It's like the
son,
whole...
it's a bloody fish cult.
Yeah. It's the whole Enterprise D thing of, let's bring all of our families on these dangerous space missions with us. And, bad things tend to happen sometimes to the Enterprise.
Yeah. So, going back a little to earlier in the episode, so we have Apex arriving at Santa Soledad, and Brenda is just so confident, hubris, like it's clear that her comeuppance is coming. I mean, nobody in a monster movie is ever that confident without something bad happening to them at some point. And the bad is definitely coming for Brenda. Is this the one where she meets her fate, or
I
forget it?
I think it happens later.
Yeah, I don't think that happens in this one.
Yeah.
We only lose one character, but yeah. But yeah, May is like, she's the realistic one. Like, look, this code is untested on something this size. They don't even really know its physiology of the Titan. I mean, just because they both the little flying thing and the Titan both come from similar places doesn't mean that their physiology works the same. But
yeah, so, and they didn't scale her code either. Let's control this tiny thing, and sure, it'll control this massive thing, and yeah, nobody has a problem with it at Apex. Everyone, what's the guy, Travis, or whatever his name is,
the Australian guy.
Yeah, or I think he's New Zealand. I think the actor is, but yeah, he's like, oh, no problem. The enemy is good as perfection, or whatever he says. Right. And like, yeah, let's not worry about this massive Titan that's coming to probably kill us all if we mess this up.
Jason,
you're fine.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Like, dude, this has to be perfect or we all die. Of course, the perfect has to be the enemy of the good. It's like, saying that when you're launching a space rocket, like, if SpaceX it's got people on the top of a rocket. Well, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I'm sitting on top of a rocket. I want the perfect, please. Thank you. So Jason, very treacherous. Takes the thing at the end as drives out of camp. Nobody seems to notice him in the chaos. Barris is interesting. I think Director Barris, the director of Monarch, is a terrible leader. He is. Oh my gosh! I'm like, he's like berating Tim and don't go to Santa Soledad. Apex told you to stay where you are, and you should stay where you are. Like, dude, clearly they've duped us. Like, man, he's awful.
But I mean, he's that, he's that evil government character that you have to have, that you have to hate and disobey. Even though he does agree with, like, to his credit, he does give in to Tim and say, okay,
right,
you better be right about this, and if not, both of our heads are on the block if you get this wrong. He does have that moment of conversion, I guess. He reminds me a little.
He reminds me a little bit of the defense Secretary of Defense from Independence Day. We just talked about Nizmicky. I remembered his name.
Yeah,
and he was that guy in that movie, and Barris is that guy in this one. The bureaucrat, the government, the politician. Kentaro has a theory about why Hiroshi did what he did, and his theory is that Hiroshi never wanted to be alone, so he created a backup family, which is an interesting, it kind of fits a little bit of what we were saying before. This idea of, the trauma of losing everyone kind of led him down this path. And, the idea of if he loses one family, well, he's got another backup family over there and he never has to be alone again. I think that's certainly a plausible psychology in it.
Yeah, I think too, Kentaro is just, he's mad. He's been with he's gotten to know his dad again. Especially over those 2 years when his dad was so worried about Kate. And so he probably felt, okay, she's the favored daughter. Like there's probably, he loves Kate, I think, but there was still some of that too, that he was, right. He was obsessed with helping Kate and probably neglected Kentaro. And of course, having two families, you're going to neglect the kids, but by helping one, especially when, opposite sides of the world. So yeah, I think it's that quote was more Kentaro just being upset about, like, Kentaro feels like he's the backup.
Right.
And that now that Kate's back, Kate's the primary daughter, she's the firstborn and the one that Hiroshi really cares about. So I think there's some of that too.
I think the events of this episode are kind of what impel Kentaro at the end of the season. That's kind of what leads him to what he's going to do. And, I think he, after this, resents Kate a bit because Hiroshi died trying to save her when she was apparently being stupid. Like, that's, why are you standing there in front of the thing? You got him killed. That idea. So it's, I think that is part of where, his arc, where it's going. So Shaw names the obvious. They see May, psst, come here. They do that thing, and they're trying to convince her to, like, hey, let's go, let's get out of here, and stop Apex. And she's like, no, this is the right thing to do. You're doing it your way, I'm doing it my way. And I like that they do that. That's an interesting, the two hero paths, one way, one the other way, and hers is obviously going to turn out to be the bad way, at least for now. And she says, Lee basically he says what nobody else had said until this point, which is Apex wants to use Titans as basically a weapon of mass destruction. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you could control a Titan, like, they're unstoppable. Throw a nuke at them, that only makes them stronger and better. Like, I can see that. So,
yeah. Well, and there's another, as we come to learn later in the season, there's kind of another aspect to what Apex wants to do, or maybe not Apex, maybe it's the girl that Kentaro goes to meet up with has like there's another,
she's got her own agenda. Yeah.
There's all kind of nefarious purposes that people want with Titans. They want to exploit it, it's the whole Jurassic Park thing. Like you created something or you find something and let's exploit it,
right.
And sell it and then patent it.
Rather than ask if you should do a thing. The old Jeff Goldblum line. I mean, once we get to her, like that apple didn't fall far from that tree.
Right.
She hit every branch on the way down. So, and then there's the whole thing, as we said, Kate being hypnotized by the Titan, and there's some sort of connection between them. So, that's clearly, we're going to come to that. And then we have the scene where Hiroshi is dying. This is the end of the episode. Keiko's cradling his head, and Kate is trying to staunch the wound, and they sing Furusato to him, and he tells her, Kate, how he's missed so much of her life and that he regrets it. He at least gets a chance to say the things that he wants to say before he dies. So it's a very affecting moment. I wish I knew more about this song Furusato. There's a little bit online about it, but I think culturally it has I think you have to understand, Japanese culture to really understand it, I think. So there's that. But, if there are any listeners who do understand it, who know more about it, I'd love to hear from them and let us know what you think about the song and its place in this episode.
Yeah, because I don't think we kind of talked about what the word means, but at least according to the AI, it means literally translated as hometown, but it's more than just the place you're born. It's kind of a more deep emotional weight representing the place that raised you. More of the nostalgia of everything that you everything that you experienced growing up there, and it's kind of a sense of belonging to those childhood memories, tied to those childhood memories. So it's a very, very powerful song, and I wish I spoke Japanese so I could understand really what it's saying. But
right, they can translate it, but translations never really carry the full weight of it. But I think I understand the sense that they're trying to get at with like the home, the sense of it's not just the place you lived, it's the center of your identity. That place that it's like you can go, like the old saying, you can never go home again. You can't, like if you went back to the place that you were when you were 5 or 6 or 7, and say your parents, your parents don't live there anymore. It's just a house that someone else lives in. It wouldn't be the same because it's not that place. But even if your parents do live there, they're older. You're older. It's not the same anymore. There's a sense of identity, cultural, individual, maybe place, rootedness that it conveys. I think I understand what they're getting at with it. So I was thinking some of the Star Wars anime Visions episodes. Kind of, I think there was 1 or 2 of them that actually kind of carried this sense with it, this sense of home and rootedness in it. I'm trying to remember which one it was. It doesn't occur to me which one it was, but there was that idea in it, I think. And
especially with Hiroshi being bounced all over the place as a kid, going from because when Keiko and Billy were off on their missions. I think he went to, I think he was, probably with his Japanese grandparents, or maybe he was with Billy's parents. I can't remember if they're ever mentioned, and then he got bounced back to Japan after Billy left, and just kind of was back and forth between Japan and the US with Kate and Kentaro. So he never really kind of settled down in a physical place. So he was kind of, he kind of had to make the home within himself a little bit, and that, or at least, or he was missing that home kind of within himself a little bit. And so it's kind of a, another layer of the tragedy there of him. He worked for 2 years to get his daughter back because, his kids are kind of the closest thing he has to a home now. And to be with one of them for so short a time, and to probably not be, give as much love to Kentaro in that 2 years as he could have. Just, it's sad.
Yeah. The stuff I've looked at online says that it carries both a sense of joy and melancholy in it, the word Furusato. And I think it's like almost a nostalgia. Like when I think of my childhood, it was a happy childhood, but there's a sense of melancholy, like that's a past that's gone. You never can go, you can't go back to that. And I was thinking how, Hiroshi kind of struggles with that. Like his childhood is both, joy and pain, the separation, and the guilt that he carries, for what he did to his children and his wives, and the guilt that maybe he drove Billy away. I think there was this, a sense that he, once Keiko was gone, Hiroshi was just a reminder of a mother who brought this child. I mean, he was adopted, so and she brought this child into their life. And so, there's this longing for home that kind of Japan kind of represented for him. And almost in a way, that's maybe one of the reasons I'm kind of thinking this out loud as we talk. One of the reasons why maybe he got a Japanese family back there too, that sense of rootedness and connectedness he was looking for. I think for Japanese people, especially in Japanese culture, it's very much connected to the land. Like most cultures are, especially ancient cultures, are connected to their place. But I think in Japan, it's especially so. That's a sense of place as a cultural identity, that the country of Japan, from my understanding.
Yeah. Well, his wife in the U.S., she was a Japanese American too. Right. So. Yeah,
but born in America, I think, right?
Right. Yeah, but I just mean, has that similar kind of background of, of maybe a different, she didn't grow up in Japan. Maybe her parents didn't. Maybe her, we don't know how long, but still finding of the same kind of, background, and at least to have two, to have and end up with two kids who are Japanese, and Kate. Mm-hmm. Kate speaks Japanese, which I think when we meet her, we think she's just American. And then I think Kintaro's giving her a hard time when they meet and talking to smack about her to his mom. But then she understands because she speaks Japanese. So right. Which, presumably she learned from her dad.
Yep. Is there anything else we want to say about this episode? We've done
let me see. Let's see. Yeah, the only other, I still have questions about the scarabs and their relation to Titan X. Like, are they? Because they're, as we come to learn, they're not the eggs of the Titan.
No, they're not the young. Yeah.
So, but it seems like there's some kind of symbiosis there where they erupt every 15 years, and that coincides when Titan X comes back. And I think it's probably or Titan X is calling them, and they kind of wake up from dormancy, but we don't really know why they're there. So I guess, and I don't think we really get a solid answer on that, but right, because we saw them in Samoa when they woke up in Titan X's migratory pattern, and I can't remember if we see anywhere else we see them in Australia, but I don't remember if that was thrown off because of what Apex is doing later. But
right, and we don't even really know what the migration is about, except maybe it's a reproductive migration.
Yeah.
Which I think that's maybe even the next episode we get that understanding. Yeah. But yeah, I still think there's maybe between the scarabs and Titan X, it's like a queen drone thing. That
Yeah.
they're somehow like they're related species. That's my guess. I don't have anything
Yeah.
to hang that on.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder, like, what do the scarabs provide to the Titan? Because they wake up and they run to the Titan. Like, did they eat, 15 years, but do the scarabs lay eggs and grow up underground, and then 15 years later, they've eaten something and then they come bring food to the Titan? I guess, yeah, we don't really know.
I wonder if they're like cicadas, they hatch every 11 years or whatever, they were 15 years in this case. I mean, we see them. They actually help Titan X with the implant, the neural implant. They chew off, basically chew off a limb to get it off. So it's interesting that they're not there later on this season to help.
Yeah.
But in any case, yeah, that's still a big question. Are they drones? Are they, a pilot fish sort of species? I don't think there's any clear answers yet. And
I don't remember if they do really answer. But yeah, that's still kind of one of the big open questions for me is like, what is the purpose of them other than to give like regular size or humans something to run away from that they can reasonably run away from. So
right, it's an interesting plot device, at least, because with Godzilla or King Kong or Titan X,
right,
squish, go the humans, right? There's not a whole lot like this is a human-sized problem.
Yeah.
The scarabs, that you can deal with. You can't have Titan X running around the corridors of Outpost 18, terrorizing people. So it is interesting.
But yeah, I think that's everything that I had on this one.
I think that's it. Yeah. That's a good place to end it. Good episode. And it's a good turning point in the season. It's all a straight shot to the end now. I mean, this is a thrill ride to the end from here. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the next episode, there's a slow beginning because we have to mourn Hiroshi, but from that point, we're heading to the end. All right, we're wrapping it here. Before we go, we want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of television, including Melissa G, Kiana C, Keith P, I had to move my cursor, John M, and James L. Their generous donations at GiveStarQuest.com make it possible for us to continue the secrets of television and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting GiveStarQuest.com. So that's it from us this time. We'd love to get your feedback on this episode of Monarch called Furusato. Let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/TV. Send an email to tv@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, where we have a lively discussion channel devoted to the secrets of TV. And until next time, Jeff Haecker, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of television.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Television on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy. The Secrets of Star Wars. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Star Wars.